Check 2, 3, 4. Check 4, 5, 6. Check 2.
right. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for showing up again to hear more about the charter amendment that we reflected upon a couple of days ago and upon which we have more to say today. And if you would listen up closely, I kind of want to start with a riddle here. You like riddles, Nancy? Sometimes. When is 68% less than half? The answer is that 68% is less than half under the reckless and irresponsible charter amendment offered by the special interest group Citizens for a Better Lincoln, led by Perry Persh, Lebus Kobe Mack, and their council sponsor, Roy Christensen. Under their bizarre form of math, 68% of the vote is not enough to win an election. In the primary election of 2016, a stormwater protection bond passed with 68% of the vote in favor and 32% of the vote against. Under the Mack-Persh Charter Amendment, that would not have been enough. Their language clearly states that a tax increase can only be enacted with a majority of registered voters, not a majority of voters who actually vote. Every day we discover a new problem with this charter amendment that threatens the growth and progress of Lincoln. On Tuesday, we talked about how the measure would likely lower Lincoln's AAA bond rating, costing taxpayers millions of dollars. Today, we need the public to understand the charter amendment's impact on their vote. Please check out the video screen here. Listed here is every election where Lincoln residents had to decide if they wanted to pay more in taxes in order to fund important city projects. As you can see, voters have passed 6 city bond issues and a sales tax increase since 2005. If this charter scheme had been in place during that time, not a single one of these issues would have passed. Their plan would have forced Lincoln residents to face greater flood damage, emergency response would have been threatened, and our most important economic development project of the last 50 years, the Pinnacle Bank Arena, would not have happened. That's clearly not what Lincoln voters wanted. They educated themselves on the need, they weighed the cost, and they decided to vote to invest in critical city projects. 5 times, Lincoln voters have told us that they support the stormwater improvements that protect our homes and businesses from flooding. In 2010, voters decided that we should build the Pinnacle Bank Arena, and in 2015, they gave their strong support for a sales tax measure to build a new emergency radio system and new fire and police stations. Citizens for a Better Lincoln is being disingenuous when they tell you a vote of the people could raise taxes under their proposal. The reality is that the language essentially makes the standard so high that it would be virtually impossible to pass a tax increase for any reason ever. That's because under their language, any registered voters who choose not to vote are essentially counted as no votes. To give an example, if voter turnout is 50%, a bond issue would have to get 100% of the actual vote to pass. What would Lincoln look like today if this radical proposal had been in place? There would have been no Pinnacle Bank Arena or West Haymarket. The arena and the West Haymarket have driven hundreds of millions of dollars of private investment. The area has attracted a thriving startup and entrepreneurial community that has created hundreds of good-paying new jobs, and dramatically expanded our economy. Under this misguided plan, the city's most important economic development project of the last half-century would not have happened, even though 56% of the voters cast a ballot in favor of building the arena. Public safety would have been badly compromised. Over the last decade, our emergency response has slowed because of our fire and police stations being too far away from new areas of the city. In addition, we have an emergency radio system that is badly outdated and must be replaced. Voters chose to address these challenges by passing a 3-year quarter-cent sales tax. Under this scheme, the nearly 60% of voters saying this was an urgent priority for public safety would have been totally ignored. Flooding would have been more common across the community, costing business owners and homeowners millions of dollars for restoration and repair. 5 times, voters have endorsed the projects that protect us from rising stormwater. Under the proposal, these critical stormwater protection projects would not have happened. How is this fair? More importantly, how is this democratic? The Persh-Mac plan says that your vote in an election doesn't matter effectively. By imposing a standard they know is essentially unreachable, they are saying that there is never a circumstance important enough involving public safety, stormwater protection, or economic development that justifies really allowing the voters to choose. I hate to think that this wording was intentional, but if it was an error or oversight, that brings up more questions. Did Citizens for a Better Lincoln really propose a major change in the way we conduct business without bothering to see if it was drafted correctly? What other negative unintended consequences are in this misguided amendment? Our examination is not finished. What makes this situation even more complexing is the rationale being promoted by Persh and Mac to justify this crazy scheme. Tuesday, Perry and Kobe told us that losing the AAA bond rating did not matter because Lincoln was using too much debt and should not borrow any more money. Let's look at the facts. In reality, debt per person for city residents has gone down, except for the voter-approved Pinnacle Bank Arena, a project supported by Kobe Mac and LIBA. They are taking both sides of the issue when they say they support the arena project on the one hand, but then they turn around and use the debt generated by the project to justify the current ill-conceived and reckless plan before us. I simply cannot imagine that the city council would say that 68% of the vote isn't good enough to win an election. I cannot imagine a scenario where a proposal this ridiculous could be put in front of voters as if it were a serious plan. Unfortunately, we are getting a strong sense that this is a done deal and that a majority of council members intend to place this on the ballot in hopes that I will veto it. It appears to be a nakedly political attempt to make taxes an issue in the city council campaign, regardless of how much damage their proposal most certainly would do in the future to the community. I have a simple message for those who would take this route. You and I both have a responsibility to the people of this community. We should be putting policy into place to serve Lincoln's family, not selfish political ends. The city council needs to defeat this radical proposal and show that the welfare of the city is what they care about most. Questions?
Mayor Mayor, are you indicating that you don't think proposal anyhow, because say if you were to veto it, they couldn't get enough votes then to overpass it. So do you think to override, do you think it's just a political posturing that?
I can't say for sure what's in their minds.
But if you vetoed it, you probably would have enough support that it wouldn't pass, right?
Pardon me?
If you vetoed that proposal, wouldn't you probably have enough support that they couldn't pass it over your veto?
I don't know.
You polled the Democrats?
Pardon me?
You polled the Democrats and you think they would have 5 votes to override your veto?
I haven't polled the Democrats, so I don't know exactly what they're thinking. This all is so new that I think the formation of opinion is still in process.
So you wouldn't consider amending the language so that you wouldn't have to have a majority of registered voters approve something? You just have to have a majority of people who voted. You wouldn't consider agreeing to an amendment?
Well, everything would be considered if there was interest in change. One, I don't think there is interest in change. And two, that's not by any means all of the problems with this. Okay.
Let me raise one thing. Kobe has indicated that he really hasn't, his group hasn't endorsed this proposal. And so, but yet I notice you keep putting his name with that. Is it because of the financial support or why is that?
You know, I'm not sure when Kobe's talking for who anymore, are you? I know what Kobe has said on his show many times. If LIBA's concerned about that they're being represented wrongly by Kobe, or we're mischaracterizing who Kobe is speaking for in one context or another, that's just something we're all going to have to deal with, because we're allowing a situation where on the one hand Kobe's part of the media, I guess, and on the other hand he's over here at LIBA and it's never quite clear who he's speaking for. Okay, thank you very much.